Welcome to this video tutorial brought to you by simpletut.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to develop your very own content management website from scratch. Now this is a preview of the website we'll be developing. We are going to be developing this completely from scratch, and basically what we're going to create is at first a basic website layout. So I'm going to show you how to create a website using div tags and CSS. I'll also show you how to develop your own custom CSS menu, and of course we'll use some dummy text to just show you the layout of the design. Once we have created the basic website layout, I'm going to show you how to develop your own content management system. So all of the pages, as you can see, is loading the text from a database. I'll also show you how to develop your own custom admin backend, which will enable you to create and delete pages. So if I create a new page, let's say page 5, click on add page, you'll then be able to edit the content on that page. So let's say the page content is example content here. Keywords, let's just enter keywords. And your meta description, let's just enter description. And once you save those changes, you'll be able to come back to your live site. And if we come to page 5, you'll see the content we inserted via the admin appears on our live site. Before I begin this tutorial, I'd just like to note that I'm starting from a point where I've already defined a localhost testing server within Dreamweaver. Now, if you haven't done this already, then we do have a tutorial which covers setting up a testing server within Windows and Mac, and how to actually define that within Dreamweaver. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video, or you can simply browse the tutorials and find it on our official website, simpletut.com. Now, in case you don't know what a testing server is, now a system like a content management system, as you know, stores information. It stores the information in a database. So the information would be things like, you know, your text, the pages that you create. Content management enables you to actually update the content on your website, and that content stored within a database. So what a testing server enables us to do is to develop these systems. It provides the database for us, so we can develop it locally and then upload it to our live server. So as I said, if you haven't set up a testing server, then please view the description of this video and find the link that'll take you to the relevant tutorial. If you have, or you know how to do that, then please set that up, or let's just get on and continue with the tutorial. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to be starting from scratch. So the first thing we need to do is actually develop the web pages and the layouts to actually insert our content management system into. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new folder. I'm going to call this CSS. Within this folder, I'm going to create 2 style sheets. The first one is going to be called menu.css, and the second style sheet is going to be called layout.css. Okay, so these 2 files are our style sheets. I'm going to create another file within our site root, and I'm going to call this index.php. It's very important that we are working with PHP in this tutorial. So the first thing you're going to note is that we have to link up our style sheets. So after the opening head tag, I'm just going to say link href. I'm then going to select the style sheet. So let's start off with layout.css. We're going to reel the style sheet. And then we're just going to say type is text CSS. Okay, and we just need to do that once more for our second style sheet. So href, this time it's menu.css, and then again we're going to reel style sheet, and type is going to be text CSS. We can now access the 2 style sheets within our main index.php file within Dreamweaver. Now the first thing you're going to note is that on our page, our cursor is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and that's because this page has no margin. So already within layout.css, I'm just going to say body, and I'm going to set a 0 margin, and I'm also going to set a padding to 0. Now you're going to see immediately my cursor is pushed up right into the corner of the page, which is going to be really handy when we start inserting our div tags. Speaking of div tags, just to make things clear, I'm just going to collapse all these panels. So let's get started with the layout. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some div tags. So after the opening body tag, I'm going to insert my first div. And this one is just going to be called the container div. So it's going to give this the ID of container. And within this div tag, I'm going to create some other divs. The first div I'll create is going to be called header. And the second div I'm going to create is going to be called nav bar. It's going to hold our menu. The third is going to be called content. And the final div is going to be called footer. They're pretty obvious as to what we're designing here. As you can see, Dreamweaver represents these div tags with this sort of dotted line. If we select it, it goes blue. At the moment, these div tags are there, but they're kind of all collapsed in on themselves because they have no CSS rules defining what they should be in terms of dimensions or size or etc. They also have no content within them. So let's start off by setting up our CSS. So within layout.css, this is a style sheet we're going to use to just control our layout here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say hashtag, and we use the hashtag to target our individual div elements. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to target the container. This is going to house all of our divs. The first thing I'm going to set is the width, and I'm going to set the width to about 980 pixels. I'm going to set the height of this div to auto, and I'm also going to set a margin. Margin. I'm going to set left to auto, and I'm going to set the margin for right to auto also. And that's just going to center our div. I'm going to set a margin from the top, and the margin from the top is going to be about 21 pixels. And I think that's about it, so I'm just going to close that off. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to target the header. So hashtag header. And here we're going to set a height, and we're going to set the height of this to about 50 pixels, and that's about it. Now, because this is a container div and we're inserting header into the container, we don't have to set the height, the width, and we don't have to align this to the center, because this div here is going to control it for us, because it's sort of like a master div. It's containing it, so it's going to have all of these variables sort of already set. So if you come back to design view, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So again, let's come back here. The second div we're going to target, or the third, is going to be a nav bar. So nav bar, and here we're going to set another height. We're going to set this one to about, let's say, 60 pixels. And the next div is going to be the content. And we'll set this one to, let's say, about 600 pixels for now. We can come back and edit this later. And also then our footer, and this one is going to be a height of about 100 pixels. Now I'm going to save it, come back to design view. You'll see that we've got a layout kind of design here. Also on the container div, I'm going to set a margin from the bottom of another 21 pixels. So you can see in design view, it just gives us some space at the bottom and some space at the top. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a logo into my header. So in the header div, I'm actually going to set this to, I think I think 61 pixels, and I'm gonna set a background image. If I just browse, come to site root in my assets file, I've got this logo file here, and you can see it's 67 pixels in height. So I got that wrong, so I'm just going to set this to 67 pixels in height. And if I come back to design view, you'll see it's inserted my logo. As you can see, I've got a problem here. It's repeating it. So I'm going to set background. I need to insert a semicolon there. And then we're just going to say background repeat, no repeat. And that's just going to sort that out for me. The next thing I want to do is I want to have some padding. I want a bit of a margin underneath this. So underneath the header div, I'm going to set a margin from the bottom of about 21 pixels, let's say. Just gives me a little bit of space. So the next thing I'm going to do is I want to insert a menu here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write some HTML. So within my nav bar, I'm going to create an unordered list. So let's create our unordered list tags. Within the unordered list, I'm going to have list items. And then here we're going to create our links, so href, and for now we're going to use hashtag, and then in between these tags we're going to say home. And if we come to design view, you'll see all we've done is created a unordered list. And if I actually copy and paste this list item, so for example, let's call this one contact, this one can be services, and this one can be about. What you're going to see if I come to design views, we've just created an unordered list. This is not a menu yet. So we need to design the menu, and to do that, we first need to put this into we're going to be using the HTML5 nav element. So let's just put this within that element. And now we can actually go ahead and start inserting our CSS. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say nav ul, and now I'm going to set a margin of 0, and I'm going to set the padding also to 0. And now we're going to target, and if I just show you what I've done here, it's going to see it's just shoving a 0 margin in. So it's pushing everything up into sort of right up into the corner of this containing div. So again, I'm going to say nav ul li, and that's just going to target the list item. So it's looking at nav, which is here. It's then looking at this unordered list. Now it's looking at individual list items. So the kind of things we'll define here is going to be the width. No, sorry, the first thing we'll be targeting here is just styling it. So we're going to set the list style type to none. That's going to get rid of the bullet points. We'll then float this to the left, because this is going to be horizontal menu bar. And then we want to say display block, and what that's going to enable us to do is set a width, and we're going to say a width of about 150 pixels, and we're going to set a height of 60 pixels, which is the same height as the actual div tag containing the menu. So what you're going to see now is as you can see, first we've set the list style type to none. It's got rid of the bullet points. It's floating to the left because it's horizontal menu bar. We're displaying block because we've set a width and a height for the individual list items, which is basically the tabs on our menu. The first problem we'll see here is that the text is the main problem. It's kind of up here on the left. It's blue, it's underlined. I mean, it's not looking like much of a menu. So the first thing we'll do on the list item is we're going to say text align, and we're going to say center. As you can see, when we do that, it's setting this to the center. We want to use the line height CSS rule, and we're going to set this to about, I don't know, 60 pixels. And that's going to kind of put it in the middle, maybe a bit less, let's say 55. That looks more centered. And then of course we can set a font family. I'm going to use Arial, and also a font size, and I'm going to set this to about 17 pixels. But this hasn't got rid of the underline, and the text is still blue. So we have to sort of target something else for that. We're going to be targeting nav ul lia, and that's going to target the links on the menu. So what we need to do here is we need to say text decoration, and we're going to set that to none, and we're going to set a color, and we're going to set the color to just black. And as you can see, immediately when I do that, this changes on the menu. Now if I save this CSS and I click on live view, you're going to see what we have. We have a menu, but it's not like there's no hover effect, so it doesn't really look like much. So the first thing we need to do is add some color to the menu. So I'm going to come to my layout.css, I'm going to come to my nav bar, and I'm going to set a background color, and it's going to be RGB. I'm going to put in my color, and then as you can see, this turns black, and then I need to come back to my menu.css, and where I actually made this color, the text color, I made it black. I'm going to make it white. And you can see immediately that lifts this off the page. So the next thing I need to do is I need to set a hover effect, because right now if I actually let's save all of these style sheets, let's select live view. At the moment, we've created a nav bar, we've created a logo, everything, but there's no hover effect, so it's kind of boring. So I'm going to come back to my menu.css, and I'm going to say nav ul li hover. So we're going to create a hover effect, and here I'm just going to set the background color to RGB, and here we go. I'm going to set it to a nice white color. Let's save that and come back here, live, and you're going to see it's changing colors. We have our cursor over the items. The first problem here is that this is sort of a gray, sort of whitish background color, and the text is white. So we need to fix that. So I'm going to come to menu.css. I'm going to say nav ul li hover a. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to display block, okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say color, and I'm going to change it to black. Okay, so now when I save this, two things are going to have changed. The first thing is that the text is going to change color, and the next thing you're going to notice is that because I've made this display block, I can now click anywhere within this sort of tab, rather than what it was before, which was I had to click on the text. So that can be confusing for people if they don't understand. So at the moment, I'm quite happy with the menu. We are going to make this actually content management, but that's going to be sort of further in this tutorial. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out of live view, and I'm going to go on with the rest of the tutorial. So we're going to be creating the content here. So there's not too much left here, but if I come into my code view now, you'll see my content div, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create some content. I'm going to say, let's say header here, and basically if I expand this, I'm just going to make this a heading 1. Okay, so now I've got some dummy text, and I'm going to put that in underneath, and basically this is kind of just creating the layout of the page. So again, I'm going to make all this content management. Now in my actual CSS, now this has content within the container. I'm not going to set this to 600 pixels. I'm going to set this to auto. And now in the footer, I'm just going to literally just say your copyright message. So that's where you put your copyright. Now, what happens if I want to actually style this? So, for example, I want to style the H1 tags. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create my rule. So within layout.css, I'm just going to say less specific to H1, the heading 1 tag, and then I can just style it. So Arial, I've used that on the rest of the site, maybe 24 pixels. The most important thing here is that I set a 0 margin, and yeah, I can just style this as I want. So I'm going to make this font weight of lighter, and you can change the color if you want. So yeah, that's not too bad. The other thing we want to do is within our here we have our content div. I want to set some padding. So I'm going to set about 11 pixels padding. Looks quite good. I want to get some padding on from the top, about 21, just to really pull it away a little bit. So as you can see, so far in this tutorial, we've just created a basic website layout. We've got a logo, we've got a menu, we've got some example text and a footer. What we now want to do is we want to take this and we want to make this content management. Okay, so as I mentioned in the start of this tutorial, we're going to need to create a database table within our database that's going to store the information from the content management system and enable us to actually create the content management system. So we're going to first create a new table, and we're going to call this table pages. We're going to create about 6 columns and click on go. The first column is going to be an ID field. This one is going to auto increment. We're going to set another one to page name, and this one is going to be varchar about 200, and we're going to say this can be null. The next one is going to be page content. This one is going to be text, and it can be null. This one is going to be keywords, and we're going to set this to varchar, give it about, let's say 300, and it can be null. This one is going to be the meta description, and this one again is varchar, and we're going to set this to about 400, and we're going to say it can be null. And this one is going to be timestamp. Now, if you don't know what any of this really means, don't worry, you're going to be much more clear on what we're doing by the end of the tutorial. But just to explain, the timestamp is going to, we need to set the type to timestamp. We also need to set the default value to current timestamp, and you must make sure that you do not check any of these. Okay, so all we're going to do now is we're going to click on save, and that is going to immediately create our table within our database. So if I now select the table that we just created, you'll be able to see what we've done. So let's go ahead and actually start doing something with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my files panel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this index file. We're going to use that as a sort of a template. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to basically say add pages. Okay, so don't update. And what we're going to do is we're going to select this, and within this content area, we're going to delete all of the text. And I'm just going to set that to none. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create a table. Now I'm going to center that, and within the table I'm going to create a form. I'm going to call the form add pages form, and within here I'm going to actually create another table. I'm going to give this 1 rows and 2 columns, and all this is going to have, and I'm going to make this, I'm going to remove the width here, and I'm going to center it. And basically here within this table I'm going to create a text field. I'm going to say new page, and then I'm going beside it I'm going to insert a button, and I'm just going to call this add page button. Okay, and we're just going to say here add page. Perfect. And we're going to save that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to insert a record set. So I'm just going to select record set, and when this loads, we're going to give this a name. We're going to say pages, and we're not going to filter this at all. We're just going to click on OK, and that's just going to create our record set. Now we're going to be able to come and click on this plus sign, and we're going to go to insert record. And when we do, now when this loads, it's going to say submit values from form, add pages form. It's correct. Insert table is pages. Columns ID, we're not going to insert anything. Page name at the moment says does not get a value. The value is coming from the new page. Submit as text. And where it says content, everything, all of these other fields, you want to make sure it does not get a value selected. And then after inserting, we simply want this to go to the same page. We want this to go to add pages. And then we just want to select OK. All right, so that's done. All we want to do now is underneath this table, we want to create another table. This time we're going to have 1 column and 3 rows. And we're going to center this as well. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another table. This one's going to be about 400 pixels wide, and it's going to have 2 rows. I'm going to center it too. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually create 2 columns in this table as well. And from this same exact record set, I'm going to pull in the page name. All right, and when I do, I'm going to then drag this across, and I'm going to put my cursor here, and I'm going to say edit page content. Okay, now I'm going to save it, and at the moment that's about all I'm going to do. But what I'm going to also do here is I'm going to select the table, going to come to server behaviors, click on the plus sign, and I'm going to then say firstly repeat region, and it's going to select pages for me. I'm going to say all records, and I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to say show region, and I'm going to show if it's not empty, and we're going to select the record set pages and click on OK again. We're going to save it, and now what we're going to do is the next thing that we need to do is we need to create a delete function. So in the cell underneath, I'm going to create a form, and I'm going to call this form delete page form. And here I'm just going to insert a hidden field. I'm going to give the name of this hidden field delete page hidden field. I'm going to copy the exact name, and we're going to make the value, and I'm going to set that to ID of the record set that we created. And I'm going to insert a button, and I'm going to call this delete page button, and I'm going to select OK, and I'm just going to change the value of the button to delete page. At the moment this is just a form, it's not doing anything, so I'm just going to come to the plus sign on the server behaviors panel and delete record. It's then going to give me this option, and I'm going to select the form variable, paste in the hidden field name, connection localhost table pages, primary key column is ID, primary key value, form variable, again paste the name of the hidden field. After deleting, we just want to come back to the same page, so add pages, and click on OK. Okay, so we can now save the page. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create another page. So I'm going to duplicate index once again, open this page up, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say edit page, and then here I'm going to insert another table. This one's going to be 800 pixels wide, 1 column, 1 row. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a record set on this page. I'm going to give this record set a name. I'm going to name it edit page. Obviously it's the table selected as pages, but I'm going to filter this on ID, URL parameter ID, and I'm going to click on OK. The first thing I'll do is I'll go to Forms, insert a form, and I'm going to say edit page form. And within the form, I'm going to create another table, 400 pixels wide. I'll put in about 6 rows and 1 column. I'm going to center this as well. The first thing I'll do is I'm going to insert some form fields. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a text area. I'm going to say page content. The next one will be keywords, and the next one will be meta description. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm just going to extend this a little bit, and I'm just going to set this, we're going to insert another form button. We're just going to say update. Okay, so I'm now just going to insert names for all these fields. So this is going to be page content. This one is keywords, and this one is meta description. And then we can just save this, and on the value of the button I'm just going to say update page. So now what I've done is I'm going to come to my record set, expand it, and for the page content I'm going to drag it into the field. I'm going to do the same for keywords. I'm going to do the same for the description. Okay, so I'm going to save that. What I have actually noticed is I didn't rename this page. This one is going to be edit page.php. Okay, so on add pages, which is here, I'm going to select this text that we created to actually link to, to go and edit the page. I'm going to click on the browse option. I'm going to come and select edit page, but I'm going to click on parameters. I'm going to say ID, and then lightning bolt ID, click on OK and OK again, and then I can save that. So let's look at what we've actually created so far. I'm just going to insert, page 1, add page, and then if I come here and I say page 2, add page, you're going to see it's creating pages which are actually records in the database. We can then click on edit page content, and it's going to come here. At the moment this page isn't programmed to do anything, but what we want to do is we want to program it so we can insert some content, and then we can actually click on update and it'll update the page. So let's go ahead and do that. What we need to do is create one hidden field here, and we're just going to say ID, and the value is going to come from the record set. So when we click on the plus sign now and click on update record, when this loads, here you can see the ID. We can select the hidden field, ID hidden field, and then we have content, keywords, description, correct, browse. We want this to be add pages, and click on OK. And that's going to go ahead and apply the server behavior to the page. We can save it, and let's just load this up in our page once again to see what we've created. As you can see, those were the 2 pages that we've already created. But now if I select edit page content and I come here, at the moment it doesn't have any content because this is a new page, but I'm going to say example content here. Let's just do, for keywords, let's do tutorial, content management tutorial, and I'm going to click on update page. Now if I come to edit the page once again, you're going to see now it actually has this information stored. If I come to edit page 2, it has none. because this is a different page, and I can click on update. These ones will be, well, this wants some value as well, so we'll just insert that. Now you can see if I come to this page, the content is different because these are two different pages. I can also delete this, so if I click on delete page 2, it deletes page 2. At the same time, I can come back and I can, add it again. So here's page 2 again, and it has no content. So at this stage, we've created the basic functionality of content management, where you add pages and you delete them and you can update the content on those pages. The next thing we need to do is actually put this and incorporate this into the front end of the site, so users can actually edit the content of these pages. So the first thing I'm going to actually do is I'm going to change the menu. So I'm returning to the index.php file, and I'm returning to the HTML of the menu. The first thing we need to do is come to our bindings panel, and we need to actually insert a record set. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say is CMS. And of course, I'm just going to sort this on the timestamp ascending, and I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to add the CMS pages to the name. I'm going to click on OK. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come into the code of the source code of the actual page. So not the style sheets, we want to look at the actual page. I'm going to come down and I'm going to look at my menu. Now at the moment, what we're doing here, if I pull up this link, I'm not looking at, because you can actually have dynamic and you can have static options on the menu. So at the moment I'm looking at the second tab in, which is at the moment it says services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the record set, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to in replace of services, I'm going to come and select page name, and I'm going to drag it here. Okay, so at the moment it doesn't look like much, but you'll see in a minute what we're actually doing. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate index. As I said, it's kind of a template file. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to say subpage, but you can call this anything you want. And then the link of this, so this is going to link, okay, I'm going to basically set this to link to the subpage, but I'm going to add a parameter, and this is going to be a parameter of ID, and the value is the ID from the record set. Click on OK and OK again. So that's all we need to do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this entire list item. I'm going to come to server behaviors, and I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to select repeat region, and I'm going to select all records from the record set that we've created. I'm then going to put this in a show if region, and I'm going to say show if it's not empty, so as long as something exists. And then I'll come back to design view, and you'll see in the moment it's kind of messed up our menu a little bit, but that's fine, because what we're going to do is we're just going to say alter our layout CSS here for it's the content div. So we need to set this to clear both, and we want to also deal with overflow. I'm going to set that to auto. Now if I come back to design view, you'll see it looks a little bit cleaner, but that's fine for now. Okay, so that's fine. Now if I then just come back to my HTML, and all I want to do is I want to change the link of home, because now we actually have something to link to. I'm going to link the home option to index.php, and I'm going to remove the last two options on the menu, which were home and about and contact. So I'm going to save that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my subpage, and what you're going to see is that the menu here we haven't updated that because we changed the menu after we'd actually duplicated and created this file. So I'm just going to come here, I'm going to delete this subpage because this is sort of old code. I'm going to duplicate index again, and I'm just going to I'm just going to call this subpage. So that is basically, it's just new code. It has everything we want. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new record set. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to name this record set page content. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this on ID equals URL parameter ID, and click on OK again. And what I'll be able to do now is, if I remove all of this default content here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, so page content, I'm going to drag in page content, and in here in the heading I'm going to drag in page name. I'm going to save it. Now that's basically sorted out the content of the page, but what about the meta description and the page title? So I'm going to come into code view, going to come up, and I'm going to find here, this is my title tags. So I'm going to put in the page name from the record set, and also if I come here I'm going to insert my keywords and my description, and basically in between this here I'm going to insert my keywords, and then here that's my description. So I'm going to save it and then come back into design view, and then all I need to do is come back to my home page, and I'm going to create a link in the footer, and I'm just going to call this admin, and I'm going to link this to add pages, and click on save. Great, so at this point in the tutorial I'm just going to show you what we've actually created. So as I said previously, what we've done is we've started completely from scratch, and we basically built a website layout. We've got the logo here. We've built a CSS menu from scratch, and we basically inserted some text here just to show you how the sort of layout would look. And what we've done is we've created a complete content management system, because all of this is managed via the database. So this page is created via the content management system. All this content is controlled via the system we've created. And if we come to the admin, we can add pages. So for example, let's say page 2, click on add page, page 3, and page 4. Now if I was to come and edit one of these pages, let's say page 3, and I'm just going to say this is example content, and let's just say we paste the same things in here. Click on update page. We can then return to the live view, the front end of the website, and you'll see that all the pages that we've created now appear in the menu, and we can click on these pages and see the content that we've inserted via the content management system. Thank you very much for following along with this tutorial. I'd just like to take this opportunity to encourage you to visit our official website, simpletut.com, and here we post regular tutorials, and some of our most popular tutorials include how to build user registration systems, CSS menus, increase Facebook likes, build responsive website layouts, and many more tutorials. But one thing I'd like to highlight at this point is that we actually have a tutorial based on building a user registration system. This is one of our most popular video tutorials to date. Now this particular tutorial on building a registration system is highly relevant to the content management system, because something that's extremely important if you do intend to build a content management website is securing the admin backend. And as I said, if you come to our website, or there'll be a direct link to this tutorial in the description of this video, And this tutorial will cover building a registration system so you can actually secure the backend. Alternatively, you can come to our website and just type in user registration system, conduct a search, and you'll find the video. And basically, this tutorial, as I said, will cover building the system and how to build it and incorporate it into your content management system. Now, of course, if you do have any questions or would like support on any issues, we do also have a free Ask a Question area on our site. In case you would like to get in touch with a member of our support team, we will be more than happy to assist you. We also offer a range of freebies, and we are, as I said, releasing more regularly. Some of our most popular downloads includes a free user registration system, or even a social content locker if you. I'd also like to take this opportunity to encourage you to visit our official website, siteeasy.com. We are an official PayPal partner, and we offer a range of various different products, including a pre-built user registration system which uses both password and encryption, and also email password functionality. We also offer various other products, including digital goods for PayPal and many others. We also have pre-built websites, including e-commerce, social networking, content management, file upload, property listings, and many others. Once again, thank you very much for following along with this video tutorial. Please, as always, like, comment, and subscribe.